All right, welcome everyone. I am going to power through a quick presentation on using social media for a purpose. Hopefully you guys can learn something from this session and that it's helpful. So I'm Jeffrey Buras. I do social media for Extension, which is the large organization that oversees 4-H. You can learn more about my group, Innovative Media Research and Extension, at learninggameslab.org. So let's see here. Okay, yep. And also I run social media accounts for Extension. Feel free to follow us on Instagram or TikTok. There's also a Twitter and Facebook, but they're easy enough to find there. So what I'm going to do today is just talk about different strategies for impact. It's not rocket science. It's basically just making content. And I'm going to talk about how you can contribute to a healthy social world online, and a little bit about being responsible with information. So just to start from the beginning, what is social media? And media is technically a plural word, so the grammar there is a little funky. But anyway, the basic understanding is that they're just apps to share user-made content to potentially wide audiences. So they give you the mechanism to spread a message to a lot of people. There's different types of content, and this is basically what you create in order to spread a message. So I'll run through each one of these and give you an example. So a text message is something that you might see on Twitter, but pretty much all platforms have some sort of text posting function. Here's an example from Arid, but it's just text. It's only text, just things that you read. You can take it a step further and add a photo to a post. This is something on Instagram, and that's kind of Instagram's specialty. But you'll notice it's not just the photo, it's photo and text. So remember that the text is just as important as the other content that you're posting. You can post an infographic and text. You can do video and text, and I love this video, so I'm just going to play this real quick, and hopefully you guys can hear this. If it loads. It may not load, so I'm just going to move on. You could also do, but basically this was a video of a guy showing you how to make celery, or how to regrow celery. You cut off the top, stick it in some water or a pot. This video is 18 seconds long, so don't think that your social media has to be particularly complex to convey a message. Same thing with motion graphics and animation. If you have the resources to make these type of things, that's great. You're likely not, but that's what we do, Innovative Media Research and Extension. We make these type of educational resources that you can then reshare. So this is a type of content. You can reshare content made by someone else. So this is an example from Facebook. You can see the Facebook page that is sharing this content is NMSU Cooperative Extension Service. But the content was actually made by the Virginia Cooperative Extension Service. So you can be more of a curator than a creator of content sometimes. But if you are sharing information, just make sure it's from a reliable source. What is a reliable source? Usually it's large institutions with peer-reviewed research, no conflicts of interest. You just want to be skeptical of the sources that you share. This is easier if you're not being controversial, but just, if you want to share information, make sure you cite your sources. And you can see here, I have cited my source for these very questions. And I would recommend that as a best practice if you're going to share something, fact-based, I guess. So a post has a lot of different parts, and you will have the largest effect if you include all of these parts. So you've got the main piece of content. For this example, it's an image, but don't forget about the text description, because that's sort of where people get more information. And then also there's a thing called tags or @mentions. That's where you're referencing other social media accounts. And so they get a notification. Maybe they'll reshare your content that can increase your audience size. And if somebody's looking for what a person has tagged, then they'll see the post. So it's just another way to get more eyeballs on your content. And then hashtags are a similar thing, except it's not tied to a person, it's tied to a topic area. So you can just make sure you mention that topic area, and other people can find your content. And then if you really want to go deep, and you kind of should do this if you're being responsible, is make sure you include some alt text. It helps with search results, but also it helps people who don't have the ability that other people have, and make sure that content is accessible to everyone of all abilities. But when you're creating content, keep in mind the goal. What is your goal when you're creating content? Do you want those fake internet points, likes, follows, shares? Maybe. But those points really just try to tie your content to some other goal. So in marketing, there's a concept called leads, content information for real people. That might be a goal. Sign up for a newsletter. You might want people to show up at an actual event that's happening in person. You might want to share information that would lead to a behavior change. For example, wash your hands after handling raw meat. That you could create some content around that. Or you could encourage people to do some kind of action outside of your organization. So go pick up trash in the park, volunteer at the county fair. Just think about what your goals are. And when you're creating a social media message, try to keep it simple, direct, concise, and visually appealing. So don't post a whole guide on identifying insects. Kind of simplify that information and really entice people to go look for that guide, that more in-depth guide. And try to have what I call a call to action, some action you're looking for the person to take. It might be signing up for a workshop. So on the left here, this is like something you would see posted on the wall of a county office, for instance. But when it's posted on social media, it's going to be simplified and look a little more bare bones, and have an action that people can take. You have an event that you're trying to promote, try to promote it multiple times to the buildup of the event. That's how people will know about it. And if you post after the event, that's always helpful. People like seeing pictures of themselves, and if you can tie that to another action, for example, we're having another event next month, be sure to sign up for that. Memes are kind of the easiest way to share information. It's just a picture from popular culture added with a funny caption. If you want to generate memes, you can just Google a meme generator or go to this link here. But they're just kind of jokes, very easy to make. Good way to get content out. So these are some of the strategies I've already mentioned, but be sure to mention other accounts and engage with communities and have something that people can follow up on from your social media posts. And then also there's going to be comments, controversy, trolls, people who want to get attention through social media by being controversial. NMSU has some guidelines for moderating this. Generally speaking, don't engage the trolls unless you want to delete their content. And here's some guidelines for deleting content that would be inappropriate on the social media account that you're managing. So that's all I've got here within 10 minutes. So if there's any questions, now is the time to ask.